Greetings, 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 greetings. Once again, it is I, your King, King Clifford Jefferson, ascendant of Godfrey, the fifth kind of band Jew, son of folk, ruler of Jerusalem. I'm here with another marvelous lesson for you all. This one is going to be a light. It's going to be a doozy. So strap on your helmets, with your popcorn, peanuts, whatever you choose to enjoy when you're enjoying your favorite TV show, your favorite movie, your favorite lecture, your favorite book, whatever it is. This is without a doubt going to be one of the best lectures that you ever been subject to. And they were trying to, they show you do TV and everything, but unfortunately they couldn't tell you. So this lecture is going to be an explanation of something that you see, but they on TV, specifically Marvels, the Avengers, the Thor, and I'm going to explain the abstract and give you the concrete in regards to what they were trying to tell you, but they could not tell you. Okay, so without a shadow of doubt, I give honor to my ancestors, the understanding and overstanding. I'm so appreciative of as a result of it being me that they chose to be the vehicle, the vacuum for the information to travel through. And we know that everything that we do on this plane of things may manifest into our reality is based on what we see with our surface sensories. We know our surface sensories is what we call taste, touch, smell, and sight, which is really a perception. You know what I'm saying? It's a stimuli, that the brain has to make sense of, but by what it's receiving by that stimuli. Okay. And the brain has no eyes to see. You know what I'm saying? The brain has no eyes. It's stuck in a box. This box is called the skull. And the box represents a three-dimensional figure, a box. Okay. All right, so I'm going to break that down to you and show you that what they were trying to show you, the Avengers was an understanding about what we call space time. The understanding about space time, and space time is subject to your understanding, which is your reality. You know what I'm saying? The mind or the mental faculty is responsible for creating your reality. Okay, for creating your reality. So we're gonna get into this marvelous lesson. Without further ado, I give honor to my ancestors. I give honor to the spirit of King Edgar the Peaceful, who now flows through me, and through me, his spirit will proceed. I give honor to my queen, Sister Godwinson, in the house of Godwinson. I give honor to my grandmother, my grandfather, all those who are part of the English Church of England that was here before we even came upon the scene. All right. So with that, let's get started. It is now October 12th, 2023, the birth year 2973, which is a marvelous year for us to be in, as you can see what's going on around the world, but do not lose sight or lose hope of what was promised and was sure to come. Okay, and that which was promised and sure to come for those who was promised to is based upon this reality. Okay, everyone has the right to their own reality, but your reality has a part to play in what it perceives based off the perception of what we assume that we see. You know, the brain is responsible for a lot of things. It takes on a lot of bombardment, uh, and the mind has no relationship as a result of that, as a result of what the brain takes in based off of what it perceives through visual light. Because you got visual light and you got mental light. Visual light is what you see through the surface sensory that your brain has to make sense of, do what they call, and it's called adverse interference, which means that it understands or perceives the effect, but now has to find out the cause. All right, it had to find out the cause. But the brain is just simply an organ. All right, it's a medium. That's all it is. So this is what we would discuss today. All right. So put in the thinking caps. I'm gonna give it to you easy for you to understand, for you to comprehend, for you to come into the true reality of the shift that we're moving into, i.e., the fourth dimension. All right. They couldn't tell you, but I'm gonna tell you. All right. So let's get started. We all are aware of the Marvel's comic series called the Avengers, and as well as all the other uh, Marvel comics that they have associated with it. This one deals with the interpretation of what we call the Infinity Stones, which are the 6 stones. As you can see, you got the Time Stone, you got the Power Stone, you got the Space Stone, you got the what is it called? The Soul Stone, Ether Stone, and then you got the orange one. I forgot that one. Let's just go to them right quick. Space Stone, which is the blue stone, the Mind Stone, which is the yellow stone, the Reality Stone, which is the uh, uh, Reality Stone, which is the red stone, the Power Stone, which is the purple stone, Time Stone, which is the green stone, and the Soul Stone, which is the orange stone. Okay, once again. So as we see here, got as they said, the green is the time stone. The purple is the power. The power stone. The blue is the space stone. The yellow is the what was it called again? Uh, Let me just go back to it again. Short memory span. Yellow is the mind stone. Red is the ether stone, and the orange is the soul stone. Okay, everybody see this? The 6 stones here. All right. This is the abstract story that they give you that you see on TV without even understand what it is that you're perceiving through what you call visual light. Visual light is blinding if you stare at it too much. You also know we got mental light, and mental light is a light that comes from mental waves. All right, mental waves come to mental frequencies or mental signals. All right, that the brain gets by way of what we call receptors. All right, neuron receptors. All right, we're going to talk about all that today, but first we're going to show you the abstract, and then we're going to give you the concrete. All right, so let's get started. Space stone. The space stone creates portals to teleport. All right, the color represents blue, and the gauntlet or the affinity that nano associated with what we call Thanos, it was placed on the middle finger, and the object or the substance was called the tesseract. All right, and you see that referenced in the first appearance of the movie Thor. The second, you got the Mind Stone. Okay, you got the Mind Stone. The Mind Stone controls minds, enhances the user's intelligence, and creates new life, which represents the color yellow, which represents the back of the hand. Loki's, you can represent it on the object located on Loki's scepter, as well as the on the front Vision's forehead, which was the creation of Jarvis as a result of uh, the transportation of what's the name of the Tony's computer into Visions, and we see Vision here as Vision. Vision is a fictional character portrayed by Paul Bettany in the Marvel Cinematic Universe media franchise based on Marvel comic character of the same name. Vision is a vibranium-based male android created by Ultron to serve as the body, okay? To serve as his body. Okay, then you got the Reality Stone. Reality Stone alters reality. Its color is red. Its location is the ring finger, i.e., the ring finger. and its object is ether. All right, you find it in Thor the Dark World. Once again, ether, we understand, according to the Greek philosopher Hesiod, they say ether is associated with the Ethiopians. Okay, I mean, the word Ethiopian or Libyan, which goes back to the Berbers, are associated with means to burn or to shine or to illuminate. So as far as what the Greeks tell us, all right. So we see reality stone and ether stone are associated, which we'll go into what reality is in lieu of ether, because ether determines your reality, as it's stated. You have the power stone. The power stone is it manipulates energy, increases strength. It's color purple. Its finger is the index finger, represents the orb, and you can find it in the reference movie Guardians of the Galaxy. You got the time stone. The time stone controls and manipulate time. Its color represents green. It's representing a location on the thumb. It represents the eye of Agamotto, and you see him representing the movie Doctor Strange. And last but not least, you got the soul stone, which manipulates the soul and the essence of a person. Its color is orange. It's represented by the little finger, and you can find it representing the Avengers movie in the Infinity War. Now, what's very important about this is that all these stones that you see, space stone, mind stone, reality stone, power stone, time stone, and soul stone, is reference to the perception of the power of the mind. All right, because the mind is the faculty that gives you the ability to be able to perceive, which we'll discuss in a second. But in lieu of what we call space time, because space time represents what we call the tesseract. All right, but the tesseract represents fourth dimension, and we're in three dimension. Once again, space stone represents the tesseract, which the color is blue, which represents the fourth dimension, which we're in the third dimension. We move from zero dimension to what we call three-dimensional, subject to the meaning of the same time, past, present, time, past, present, and future. We know time represents about what they say, what is the yellow stone, the green stone. Time is represented by the green stone. We know time is subject to past, present, to future. And we're not in the fourth dimension because the fourth dimension is represented by the tesseract. We know that, and we know three dimension is represented by what we are subject to as a result of us being here on this plane of existence. Because we know a plane is second dimension. A plane or surface is two dimension. All right. So we see time and space are represented by what we call space-time, which is a representation of the tesseract, which we see, or which we know is what we call fourth dimension. Okay, let's go here, the creation. In 2014, the collector explains that the Infinity Stones are remnants of six singularities that existed before the Big Bang. Okay, this is dealing with cosmogony or astrobiology. Okay, astrobiology, astronomy, cosmogony, all reference to the same. So it says the collector explains that the Infinity Stones are the remnants of six singularities that existed before the Big Bang, which were compressed into stones by cosmic entities after the universe began, which were dispersed throughout the cosmos. 4 years later, it is further explained by Wong and Stefan Strange, and each Infinity Stone embodies and controls an essential aspect of what we call existence, i.e., our reality. Okay? Who is the collector, real quick? Taylor Tivan, also known as the collector, is the renowned keeper of the largest collection of interstellar fauna, relics, and species in the galaxy. We know interstellar means between stars. Interstellar means between stars. Fauna, relics, and species in the galaxy, operating from the known Port installation. He is the Grand Master's brother. In 2013, Sifs and Volstagg brings the Reality Stone. Reality Stone is the Ether Stone, which represents red, to Tivan for safekeeping, citing the foolishness of storing both the Reality Stone and the Space Stone, which represents blue, i.e. the Tesseract, in the same place. In 2014, he meets the Guardians of the Galaxy and nearby and nearly is nearly able to obtain the Power Stone. In 2018, he is confronted by Thanos, who takes the Reality Stone and destroys his collection. By 2025, Tivon sells the damaged Nowhere to the Guardians of the Galaxy. All right? So we know that Thanos gained the Reality Stone, and as well as what we call the Space Stone, and the Space Stone is called the Tesseract, which represents fourth dimension. Now, we see it in the abstract. Let's go to the concrete. In physics, space-time is the mathematical model that fuses the three dimensions of space and the one dimension of time, i.e. past, present, and the future, all right, into a single fourth dimensional continuum, time continuum. Space-time diagrams are useful in visualizing. You only visualize them by two ways: through visual, by what you see, and by mental visualization, and understanding relativistic effects, such as how different observers perceive where or when events occur, i.e. we're nothing more than spectators on the scene, okay? Until the turn of the 20th century, the assumption had been that three-dimensional geometry of the universe, its description in terms of location, shape, distance, and direction, was distinct from time. We know time is past, present, and future, but we know that we're in the present right now. The future will be tomorrow or the day after, etc. But we don't know what that is yet because we're not there. That means we're subject to the present. And they're speaking of it's different from the present, meaning in this three-dimensional space. Because if we wake up tomorrow, which would be our present, we'll be still subject to three-dimensional space and time. All right. It says that however, space and time took on a new meaning with Lorentz transformation and special theory of relativity. And special theory of relativity deals with energy equals matter constant speed of light, or energy matter equivalence, or what we call space-time. All right, because we're dealing with space-time. Space-time deals with the singularities. So as we went back to the movie Thor, it says that, let's go back here. The creation of the Infinity Stones was created from the singularities that resulted from the Big Bang. The Big Bang is a result of what we call cosmogony. Cosmogony in regards to what we call a Big Bang is what we call an exploding star. An exploding star is a result of what we call a gravitational collapse, which results in what we call a planetary nebula. All right, let's move forward. Singularity, let's just get a definition of that. The initial singularity is the singularity predicted by some models of the Big Bang theory to have existed before the Big Bang, i.e. space-time. Right there. Everybody see it. Space-time, cosmology, all means the same. So this is what you need to understand in regards to your transition out of here to the fourth dimension. Because we know that as we see in space-time, in physics, space-time is a mathematical model. We know math means with adding, you know what I'm saying? When you add on, that means to discern, all right, to make sense of what's being said or what's being spoken or what's being discussed, all right? What is the object of observation, all right? The object of observation is the understanding from a shift or a transition from three dimension of space that's subject to time and the one dimension of time, whether it's past, present, or the future, into a single four-dimensional continuum. All right? Continuum. So let's go here now. Once again, we know that Thor and Asgard all make reference in the abstracts to them being up in what they call the heavens. All right, this is told by Greek mythology, Greek mysticism, Greek folklore. You know what I'm saying? So it has a lot to do with immortality, our understanding of immortality. And immortality is best understood on a biological level. All right, because physics deals with biology. All right, your makeup. We're saying we're physical beings, but only see ourselves from what we perceive with the eyes, our what we call our surface sensories. All right, our perceptions, our mental faculties, our discerning faculties, but that's not what we really are. All right, and as a result of that, not knowing that, we will not move into what we call fourth dimension. Fourth dimension represents the tesseract. Right here. In geometry, a tesseract is the four-dimensional analog of a cube. The tesseract is to the cube as the cube is to the square. Just as the surface of a cube consists of 6 square faces, the hypersurfaces of the tesseract consists of 8 cubic cells. That tesseract is one of the 6 convex regular 4 polytypes. So the tesseract represents a cube. And we know the tesseract or the cube is represented in the abstract is subject to what we call the blue stone. Okay? It represents the blue stone. Let's go back there where we were. Here. As I said here, space stone is represented by the tesseract. We know the tesseract is fourth dimension. Everybody needs to understand that. All right. The tesseract is fourth dimension. The ether is represents the redstone. Okay, and it represents the altering of a reality. All right. The altering of your reality it can only come through mental from a mental evaluation of yourself. All right. That's the only way your reality can be altered, not based off what you see, because what you see with your visual eyes is assumed to be your reality. Okay. That's what's assumed to be your reality. And we know that reality that you assume to be your reality is based on what we call visual light. And we know visual light that you see is internalized by way of the what we call the brain. Okay, let's discuss that in a second. Let's watch the movie real quick. Let's see Asgard first. Nordic mythology. Now we know when we're dealing with mythology, we're dealing with myth. All right. But when we're dealing with the concrete, we're going back to the stories dealing with the Middle Ages. All right. The Northmen. All right. The Danes, the Vikings, Harold Canute, Harold Godwinson. All right. These stories are recorded on records from what we call the Middle Ages, going back to the myth relating to what we call Odin, Thor, Freyr, Heimdall, etc. All right. So let's get an abstract and I'm going to show you the concrete because it all relates to the transition by understanding immortality on a biological level. We know biology deals with cells, and we know cells has a lineage, as I talked about in other lectures. You all might have thought I was playing, but I was not playing when I talked about this. All right? They're going to qualify. This is what they kept sacred. They showing you movies, but they couldn't tell you. I'm telling you what they showing the movie that they couldn't tell you. All right? In nomadic mythology, Asgard, enclosure of Asir, is a location associated with the gods. It appears in a multitude of Old Norse sagas and mythological texts. It's described as a fortified home of Asir gods, often associated with gold imagery. Many of the best known Nordic gods are Asir or live in Asgard, such as Odin, Thor, Loki, and Badar. Did y'all hear that? All right. Egyptians, everybody else got their own objects, substance to relate to these entities. All right. But I'm showing you these entities from the interpretation of what you see in the movie in regards to what it represents in the concrete in regards to what we call biology. All right. Immortality from a biological understanding. All right. From a biological understanding. This is what we call cell signals. Everything that I'm giving you came from cell signals. My DNA, all right, gave me the ability to understand what I perceive through what the visual light that I see with my eyes and which my brain has to interpret. Because once again, it's in a cube, it's in a box. All right, let's understand this. Once again, we know that red is ether. We know ether alters reality. So what is reality? Because reality is determined by the mental faculty. A mental faculty determines your reality, which you bring into existence by you acting on that reality that you perceive to exist. All right. What is reality? That's the number 111. Reality is the sum or aggregate of all that is real or exists within the universe, as opposed to that which is only imaginary, non-existent, or non-actual. The term is also used to refer to the ontological status of things, indicating their existence. In physics terms, reality is the totality of systems known and unknown. Okay? The systems of things known and unknown determines your reality or what you perceive things to be. This was heading in what we call metaphysics. All right. This was hidden in what we call metaphysics. Let's go to the videos first. So we know Asgard was the home of the gods, right? And we know the only way to get from what they call Midgard to Asgard is through the Bifrost. That's the only way you can get there. From Midgard to the Asgard, the home of the gods, was through the Bifrost. All right, and the Bifrost was overseen by Heimdall. All right, it was overseen by him under the mythology or mysticism or the stories of the folklore told by those who are considered Northmen. All right, and we know Norsemen invaded England. All right, according to the conquest story, which I'm telling you. In Norse mythology, Bifrost, also called Bilros, is a burning rainbow bridge that reaches between Midgard, Earth, and Asgard, the rim of the god. This is what we call the electromagnetic spectrum. This is called the electromagnetic spectrum in the concrete, which we'll discuss in a second. In Norse mythology, Bifrost, also called Bilros, is a burning rainbow bridge that reaches between Midgard, Earth, and Asgard, the rim of the gods. The bridge is attested as Bilros and the Poetic Edda. All right, this is records that you can go to in regards to the preserving of these stories as told by the Northmen. All right, compiled in the 13th century from earlier traditional sources. And Bifrost is a prosaic Edda written in the 13th century by Snorri Sturluson and the poetry of skulls. Both a poetic Edda and the prosaic Edda alternatively refers to the bridge as Adru, Old Norse as the Azure Bridge. All right. According to the prosaic Edda, the bridge ends in heaven as Himsdorf, the residence of the god Heimdall, who guards it from the just north. The bridge's destruction during Ragnarok by the fourth moon spell is foretold. Scholars have proposed that the bridge may have originally represented the Milky Way and have noted parallels between the bridge and another bridge in Norse mythology, G. Delabru. All right. So in cosmology or cosmogony, or dealing with um, the story of the creation of our universe, we know of the Milky Way. All right, which is a nebula of that consists of a star systems. All right, we know that to be a fact based off what they tell us through those who study the stars, i.e., astronomy. All right, but it said that the one who guarded the bridge, his name was Himsdale, of another Northman who was told, as you see in the movie Thor. All right, so let's view a clip so we can make reference to Himsdale. Okay, everybody see, this is Himsdale, Aegis Elvis. All right, now you know he's from England. All right, so they chose him for a specific reason because we know that the Bifrost was the ability to be able to travel from Earth to what? To Asgard. All right. But they were still in what we call the third dimension, not the fourth dimension, because the fourth dimension represents the Tesseract, okay, which represents space. All right, represents space. And we know time represents another stone. And we know space time represents shift to fourth dimension under the same time continuum in that dominion. Okay, as I showed you previously. All right, so this is a clip in regards to them requesting Heimdall to open the Bifrost. Okay, everybody check this out.
Who would defy the commands of Loki, our king? Break every oath you have taken as warriors and commit treason to bring Thor back?
Yes.
Good.
So you'll help us?
I am bound by honor to our king. I cannot open the bridge to you. Complicated fellow, isn't he? I will be doing.
Okay, y'all seen that? Hold that thought. All right, so as you can see, Heimdall was the, for the lack of a better metaphor, was the Asiatic brother. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna call him the etheric brother. You know, so the Ethereum brother. That's who he truly was. He was an Ethereum. You know what I'm saying? Ethereum was the ability to shape reality. He must have understood the reality because of both realms. All right, since he was the gatekeeper. All right. Let's see another clip. With Thor trying to get in the Bifrost, and Heimdall's not there to open it. As you can see, Thor is trying to have access to the Bifrost, but he's no longer able to have access to it as a result of Loki. We know, and we know Loki. Oh, let me see.
Heimdall has recently grown in popularity, mostly due to his role in the Marvel Thor movies. But who is Heimdall?
All right, we can skip that. Okay, so as we can see, Thor is not given access to the Bifrost, which is traveling back up to Asgard. We know Asgard was the home of the gods. All right, and we know Heimdall must have been one of the gods since he was the gatekeeper from access to the home of the gods and to those of who were considered mortals. All right, earthlings. Very important to understand that. All right, in the abstract as well as you must understand that in the concrete. So we know the abstract because they show us on TV. We don't understand the concrete. That's what I make here to make clear to you. All right. Let me go to another video. This is when Thanos obtains all the Infinity Stones. All right. Thanos obtains all the Infinity Stones. When he obtains all the Infinity Stones, he snaps his fingers. This is called a blip, right? When everything in the universe is erased, all right, as a result of the misunderstanding of the Tesseract, all right? As a result of the Tesseract, he was able to alter space and time to a new reality, okay? To a new reality. We must understand that. And all those who didn't understand the Tesseract power didn't understand true reality as Thanos knew it. Okay, so you notice all the entities or deities or the saints and martyrs, etc., that didn't understand their existence on a biological level, which I'm going to show you in the concrete versus the abstract, whether it's myth, folklore, whatever you want to deem it, is a result of you being unconscious. All right, you are unconscious. All right, you have been cut off. You're not able to receive the signals to allow you to upload or what they call mental transfer into what they call a state of immortality through self-rejuvenation, through understanding, which I'm going to show you. All right, let's watch the video. It's a shift from three-dimensional to fourth-dimensional, which is void of matter. Now he's subject to the third dimension. Thanos not. Thanos came from the fourth dimensional, so he understood the Tesseract. He told him, you should have went for the head. He said, you should have went for the head. Let's continue. I mean, hold on. Okay, yeah, here we go. Y'all better pay attention. What's going on?
Where'd he go?
0-point energy, special theory of relativity, moving from three-dimensional to fourth-dimensional by way of the vacuum where matter cannot go. What you don't know will hurt you. Wakanda can't save you. All the history, culture that you learn as a result of you being part of a colony, culture, family, as a result of what you of your mitochondrial DNA means nothing. Means nothing. That's not what you were put here for. You were put here to understand God, his creation, and you being part of God's creation. That's what you were brought here for. What you see with your visual eyes is blinding light. It's not the truth. The only light that you have is the mental light, the mental frequencies that makes determination with the brain as a faculty. Okay, the brain is an organ. It should not be making any decisions for you. It should not be making any decisions for you. All right, let's get into this. Close this out. Close this out. And close this out. Okay. All right, so I'm trying to go slow. So I'm giving you these infinity stones. All right. You're receiving them now to be able to move from 3rd dimension to 4th dimension under the same time continuum. Under the same time continuum. Just like that. All right. Just like that. When the time comes for the shift. When the time comes. All right. We know time is subject to past, present, and future. We know the future is 4th dimensional, which represents the tesseract, which represents space. We know space represents volume. You know what I'm saying? But we know that space-time is not, it's called interstellar space. Space-time is called interstellar space, means space between stars. And that space between stars is ether, which determines your reality. On this plane, based off your visual perception, and the plane to come based off your mental perception, which I want to show you how to get there. Real simple. A brain or encephalon is an organ that serves at the center of the nervous system in all vertebrates and most invertebrate animals. The brain is the largest cluster of neurons somatic in the body and is typically located in the head, using their organs for special senses such as vision, hearing, and olfaction. So this is what we call somatic neurological system or somatic nerve system. All right, somatic nerve system. Let's deal with that. Somatic nervous system or voluntary nervous system is you heard voluntary, is a part of the peripheral nervous system associated with the voluntary control of body movement via skeletal muscle. All right. Somatic nervous system consists of nerves carrying effective nerve fibers with related sensation from the body to the central nervous system. And nerves carry effective nerve fibers which relay motors commanded from the CNS to the stimulate muscle contraction. So we know that somatic nervous system is under controls your what you call your nervous system, which affects your brain, because your brain internalizes everything that is signaled by what you call your nervous system. And your nervous system is composed of what we call somatic cells. All right. Somatic cells are immortal. Once again, somatic cells are immortal. In cellular biology, a somatic cell means body or vegetal cell, which is a biological cell forming the body of a multicellular organism other than a gamete, germ cell, gametophyte, or undifferentiated stem cell. Somatic cells compose the body of an organism and divide through the process of binary fusion and mitotic division. Okay, very important to understand that. Means that it has the ability to be able to self-rejuvenate, to heal itself. When you cut yourself, what happens? Your cells rejuvenate themselves. All right? They rejuvenate themselves. Very important. In mammals, somatic cells make up all of the internal organs, skin, bones, blood, and connective tissues, while mammalian germ cells give rise to spermatoza and ova, which fuses during fertilization to produce a cell called a zygote, which is in cell lineage, which divides and differentiates into cells of an embryo. This is called what we call cell division. From unicellular to multicellular. All right? From unicellular to multicellular. So we know that some somatic cell forms the body. All right? Somatic cell forms the body, and somatic nervous system gives the ability to be able to receive signals to that cell. All right? We know all cells have a nucleus. All cells have a nucleus. All right? Except prokaryotic cells. You have eukaryotic cells and prokaryotic cells. Prokaryotic cells are extraterrestrial cells that did not originated on this planet, versus or contrast to eukaryotic cells. And eukaryotic cells was the first life on this planet, such as archaea and bacteria, which we discussed in a second. All right. It says in mammals, somatic cells make up all internal organs, skin, bones, blood, and connective tissue. So that means you too. That means you too. All right. So it says all mammals. Just make sure we include you. Humans. Scientific classification. Eukaryota, domain, kingdom, Animalia, phylum, Chordata, class, Mammalia. Okay, so you fall into that classification that has somatic cells. And we know somatic cells deal with the organs, tissue, body parts that you see, okay, as explained in the definition. All right, so it's not discriminatory. So we know the brain is controlled by our central nervous system. When our central nervous system receives what they call signals, all right, through our receptors. So let's discuss cell signaling. Very, 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 very important, because this is all a part of our ability to be able to have immortality from a biological understanding. Not from an abstract understanding, from a biological understanding through mental transferring or mental uploading. All right? From mental uploading. But first, let's get a description of cell signaling, because that's what's being done through immortality, through what we call telecommunications. All right? Telecommunication, the transmission medium, a medium for signals to travel through. Cell signaling. In biology, cell signaling, or cell signaling in British English, or cell communication, is the ability of a cell to receive, process, and transmit signals with its environment and with itself. I re-emphasize. In biology, cell signaling or cell signaling, signaling or cell communication is the ability of a cell to receive, process, and transmit signals with its environment and with itself. Okay, so whatever you see with your visual light, all right, with your visual light is receiving signals. All right, it's called It's called what's the term? Transduction. That's what it's called. It's called transduction. We'll talk about in a second. All right. In biology, cell signaling or cell communication is the ability of a cell to receive, process, and transmit signals with its environment. That means your environment, everything around you or surrounding you, to be able to communicate. All right? Be able to communicate. Cell signal is the fundamental property of all cellular life and prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Everybody see that? All prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Because prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells are cells. Eukaryotic cells have a nucleus and prokaryotic cells don't have a nucleus. Okay? And prokaryotic cells are unicellular, are what they call unicellular versus multicellular. Prokaryotic cells are unicellular versus multicellular, and multicellular means the ability to be able to cell divide, such as in eukaryote cells. It says signals that originate from the outside of a cell can be physical agents like mechanical, pressures, voltage, temperatures, light, or chemical signals, as interpreted in such as molecules, peptides, or gas. Cell signaling can occur over short or long distances. As a result, it can be classified as autocrine, juxtacrine, intracrine, paracrine, or endocrine, if I'm pronouncing that right. Paracrine, intracrine, juxtacrine, autocrine, if I'm saying it right. Forgive me if I'm not. Signaling molecules can be synthesized from various biosynthetic pathways and released through passive or active transport, or even from cell damage. All right. This is through what we call your receptors. All right. This is through what we call your receptors. All right. And your receptors are called sensory neurons. This is what your mind works on. Sensory neurons. Let's define your mind first. We define your brain already. And your brain is not your mind, and your mind is not your brain. Your brain is just an organ that's supposed to work off the offices of the mind based off the light that it receives through the mental waves, but it does not. It operates based off the waves it receives from the ultraviolet light that it sees with the visual eyes, all right? Which is what we call blinded light. It's not real. It's not a true reality. Because as soon as the light is cut off, all you see is what we call darkness. All right? Darkness. And all that's left now is you to contemplate what you perceive what you perceive through that visual light that you see with your eyes, your faculties of your eye, which is nothing more than a surface sensory. All right? It's a surface sensory we'll be discussing in a second, once we define mind. Mind, make sure you see it. The mind, adjective form, mental, is that which thinks, imagines, remembers, wills, and senses, or is the set of faculties responsible for such phenomena. Once again, the mind is that which thinks, imagines, remembers, wills, and senses, or is the set of faculties responsible for such phenomena. So it is a substance, it's an object that has the ability to do all these qualities: think, imagine, remember, will, and senses. The brain is an organ that has the ability to interpret what the mind signals it to do, right? And the brain works on behalf of the body, encased in the body. So if the brain is encased in the body to operate the faculties of the body through its sensory, then what body or what form is the mind in? All right? What body or form is the mind in? All right? Because we know that the mind is responsible for the ability to be able to think, imagining, remembering, wills, as well, and senses, which is the set of faculties responsible for its phenomena. The mind is also associated with the experiencing for perception, pleasure, and pain, belief, desire, intention, and emotion. The mind can include conscious and non-conscious states, as well as sensory or non-sensory experiences. You must understand that. But your mind ain't attached to your body. Your mind is not touched with your body, but the mind tells the body what to do based off the sensory that the brain receives based off its signals. All right, based off its signals. The exact nature of the mind is disputed, okay? They don't know what form, what body the mind has, all right? Traditionally, minds were understood as a substance, all right? But contemporary philosophers tend to see them as collections of properties or capacities, all right? Properties or capacities. And then they leave it up for you to determine what that is through philosophy, religion, psychology, or other cognitive sciences, all right? Other than the science of biology, all right? Other than the science of biology, do what they call mental mapping, all right? Mental transferring. I'm teaching you that today, all right? So we know what the mind is, the faculties of the mind, and all the faculties of the mind, whatever the faculty is based off what we call sensory, all right? That the brain has to make sense of through the cell signals that it receives from the environment to the surface sensories, such as your faculties. How you pull that up? Sensory neurons. All right, sensory neurons. We know cell signals come from sensory neurons, which the brain receives from signals based off what they perceive through their faculties. All right, the majority of the time, the faculty that you receive sensory from, i.e., signals and waves, to do what we call what's called transduction. All right, which we'll get to in a second. Sensory neurons, also known as efferent neurons, are neurons in the nervous system that convert a specific type of stimulus via their receptors into actions, potentials, or graded receptor potentials. This process is called sensory transduction. The cell bodies of the sensory neurons are located in the dorsal ganglia of the spinal cord. Okay? The sensory information travels on the efferent nerve fibers, eye receptors, and a sensory nerve to the brain via the spinal cord. Spinal nerves transmit external sensation via sensory nerve to the brain through the spinal cord through what they call transduction. So what is transduction? All right. So some of the sensory neurons that we receive signal from, which we call surface sensory, I call them surface sensories, which are taste, what is it? Smell, taste, vision, auditory, temperature, mechanoreceptors, and all the other ones. You can look it up at your own time. You know what I'm saying? But these are all the neuron sensories that we receive based off what we call our receptors in lieu of what we call cell signaling. Cell signaling. Let's define cell signaling again before I go into transduction. Who teaches you this stuff? In biology, cell signaling or cell communication is the ability of a cell to receive, process, and transmit signals with its environment and itself. Cell signaling is a fundamental property of cellular life and prokaryotes and prokaryotes and eukaryotes, all right, which are cells, all right? We know eukaryotes are cells that have a nucleus with the genetic material, i.e. called genomes, all right? Called genome, and prokaryote that has no nucleus, all right? And we know that itself is unicellular, all right? And it has an origin, all right? That goes back into what we call Asgard. That goes back to the Asgard on the concrete understanding from a biological understanding on immortality, a contrast to what they're telling you based off Asgard and the so-called afterlife that you see depicted in the movies. All right? Very, very, very simple. You don't believe me? Let's check it out. So in biology, a cell communicates the ability for a cell to receive, process, and transmit signals with the environment. All right? Not just on the surface sensory, but on the cellular level as well. On the cellular level as well, right? It does not involve the neuron sensory, all right? It does not involve that. It involves mental perception, mental transferring of uploading information that's given to the cell through cell signaling from the environment to you, from you about the environment, all interpreted through what they call the brain. But the brain is not interpreted. The brain is the organ for the mind to interpret what it's receiving by the signals that it receives from the cell signaling from outside the environment. That's nothing more than what they call light. How we know it? Transduction. Let's check it out. This should speak to each and every one of you. The majority of your understanding on the afterlife, immortality, life after death is based off what you perceive or what you understand based off what you see through your visual faculties, i.e., your eyes. All right. All right. When you see with your eyes, then you start the mental uploading process of what you visualize with your eyes, which is nothing more than signals, other than where the origin of the signal really came from. All right. The signal really came from electromagnetic frequencies. That's where it came from. That's the origin of where it came from. But you don't know that. That's why you're going to find yourself in the same position as Thorin found themselves in, because they didn't understand biological immortality. In physiology, transduction is the translation of arriving stimulus into an action potential by a sensory receptor. It begins with the stimulus changes the membrane potential of the receptor cell. All right. All right. Here is the example. Signal, receiving, cell signaling. All right. You're receiving that cell signal through a collection of frequencies that you receive from what? The sun. All right. Which is nothing more than what we call photon energy. Photon energy under the medium of what we call neuron transmitter. Neuron transmitter are what we call receptors. All right, to get ability for the signal to travel through to whatever somatic neurotic cell, somatic neuron cell that it needs to give the ability to interpret. All right, because we know transduction means to interpret by the process of the brain for you to take action. All right, once again, the signal collection, the interpretation of what you collected from that signal through the process of the brain to take action. Okay, step-by-step instructions. Visual system. In the visual system, sensory cells called rods and cone cells in the retina convert the physical energy of light signals into an electrical impulse that travels to the brain via a vacuum. The body can't go. This can't go. It's just the light energy, the signal, the wave, the frequency goes. Right? The light causes conformational changes in the protein called rhodopsin. This computational change sets in motion a series of molecular events that result in a reduction of the electrochemical gradient of photoreceptor. The decrease in the electrochemical gradient causes a reduction in the electrical signals going to the brain. All right. So this invokes what we call mental transfer. This is all called what we call ontology. All right, which is a result of understanding biology. So what is ontology? In metaphysics, ontology is the philosophical study of being. It investigates what types of entities exist, how they are grouped into categories, i.e., colonies, all right, what they call colonies, and how they are related to one another on the most fundamental level. And all those who need to get a better understanding, please study taxonomy. All right, it gives you all the classifications of the existence from germ to us being categorized as whatever kingdom you are part of. All right, species. All right. So it says in metaphysics, ontology is the philosophical study of a being. And investigate what types of entities exist, how they are grouped into categories, and how they relate to one another on a most fundamental level. Ontologists often try to determine what the categories of the highest kinds are and how they form a system of categories that encompasses the classification of all entities. All right? Biology. We talk about immortality, y'all, biological immortality. You must understand your physics, your actual makeup. All right. So it ain't about what you do on this plane. It ain't about that. It's about what you understand on this plane determines your transition here. All right, because you're gonna make the transition whether you want to or don't. It's just how you make the transition is what you should be asking yourself. All right, because time never was when we were not. The life of time become, the time will come when we will be no more. Thanos knew what was going on. Nobody else knew what was going on. It's your obligation to know what's going on. Why? Because our ancestors did. The doggone knew about it. The Egyptians knew about it. The English, so-called Egyptians, we know the Egyptians were the Berbers of Lebu, which now are assumed to be what we call Ethiopians, which are nothing more than these Ethereans, which shape the reality for us. All right? Okay. So we understand biology is the study of cells. Why is this important? Let's go down. On any level, whatever science you choose to use to come to that understanding, take your pick. Cell. Cell theory states that cells are a fundamental unit of life, that all living things are composed of one or more cells, and that all cells arise from pre-existing cells through cell division. We must understand that. Most cells are very small, varying from diameters 1 to 100 micrometers, and are therefore only visible under light and electron microscope. These are generally two types of cells: eukaryotic cells, which contains a nucleus, and prokaryotic cells, which do not. Once again, eukaryotic cells, which contains a nucleus, and prokaryotic cells, which do not. So that means that prokaryotic cells are unicellular, and eukaryotic cells have the ability to become multicellular as a result of what we call cell division. Prokaryotes are single-cell organisms, such as bacteria or what we call archaea, whereas eukaryotes can be single-cellular or multicellular. And multicellular organisms are every cell in the organism body is derived ultimately from a single cell in a fertilized egg, i.e. mitochondrial DNA, which we call our genetic material, which we compose of what we call genomes. You gotta understand that. Understanding genomes is not the ticket. Understanding the origin of the genome is the ticket. All right? Its makeup. Okay. All right. So we know from some of the first cells that ever existed, as they said, let's go back to cell. So you can understand how important what's that state in regards to your understanding of being able to transcend to that state of immortality. All right. It determines as you're going to transcend on this from a spook understanding or from a concrete understanding, and we know concrete understanding validates the abstract understanding by way of understanding your biological structure. All right, your biological structure, because it said we know cell lineage or cell theory derives from what we call cell lineage, and we know cell lineage means to be the ability to be able to what we call cells divide from unicellular to multicellular. Okay. Cell theory states that cells are a fundamental unit of life that are living things and composed of one or more cells. We know prokaryotic cells are unicellular and eukaryotic cells are multicellular. All right. That all cells derive from a pre-existing cell, meaning pre-existing. All right. Through cell division. Most cells are very small, blah, 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 and therefore only visible under a light or electron microscope. There are generally two types of cells: eukaryotic cells, which contain the nucleus, and prokaryotic cells, which do not. All right. Prokaryotic cells which are single-cell organisms, which don't contain the nucleus, and eukaryotic cells, which are multicellular, which does. All right. And it says prokaryotic cell organisms, such as bacteria, very, 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 very important. Prokaryotic cells are single cells, which consist of such as bacteria. All right, bacteria. Okay, before we go into cell genealogy in reference to bacteria, because the first two cells that they said based off life going back billions of years was based off germs and archaea. Those were the first two types of bacteria that existed, was archaea and bacteria. Okay, we must understand that from a single cell organism to multicellular organism. All right, through the information that was bestowed upon it inside the nucleus. And we know a prokaryotic cell must be the creator because it don't have a nucleus. All right. So that means that prokaryotic cells are considered immortal as well as extraterrestrial in their nature. Okay. We must understand that. Let's get a list of these deities. In myth, let's see, this image bigger. Bear with me, y'all. Okay. Yeah, I can see this doing better. All right, do this one. These are some of the Asgard deities. Odin, Frigg, Thor, Baldur, Loki, Freya, what's his name? Frey and Freya, as well as Heimdall. Let me see if they got another one. All right, you see none. All right, very important, the list of these deities. All right, as you can see, some of the gods in Asgard was Odin, Frigg, Thor, Loki, Baldur, Heimdall, Tyr, Bragi, Undun, Hel, Njord, Freyr, and Freya. Everybody see that, right? This is the abstract understanding that they want to perceive, right? In lieu of them being the immortal gods, all right, who have immortality based off the abstract understanding. But I'm going to show you the concrete understanding of immortality that they're hiding from you, that they can tell you as a result of them don't want you to make the transition to the fourth dimensional world, which is understanding the tesseract and the purpose of the tesseract and what we call space-time. Because we know space-time is subject to three-dimension movement to a fourth dimension under the same time continuum. You know what I'm saying? Which means future, because three-dimension is the present, which we're in now, which was the present they were in, but they didn't make the shift to the fourth dimension, which was the future as a result of them not understanding it. They were like, what's going on? That's where y'all going to find yourself at. Blessed are those who partake in the first resurrection, but with the second resurrection has no sting. All right, let's move forward. So we understand transduction is to be able to interpret. In physiology, transduction is the translation of the arriving stimulus into an action potential by a sensory receptor, and being within stimulus changes the membrane potential of the receptor cell. So whatever you receive through the surface sensory, i.e. your neuron sensory, your taste, touch, smell, and sight, the brain has to interpret and do transduction, and interpreting what that signal was gives you ability to take action. All right. But the majority of the action that you take based off the signal you receive to transduction is based off the visual light that was created falsely. All right. It was created falsely because, once again, the brain don't have eyes. It's enclosed in a box. All right. It only knows the effect, not the cause. The cause is understanding biology of how all this got to where it is now, which is the effect. Because you're seeing the effect. You come in on the effect. You are the effects of what happened. Okay. Immortality. Immortality is the concept of indefinite eternal existence even after death, and some species possess biological immortality. Some species possess it. You might have it, right? You might have it, but it's based upon your ability to remember. Based off remembering, because the word mind means remember. Let's make sure. Now, you can use whatever language you wanted to use to describe the definition, but we're going to go to Old English because we're descended from Old English. Old English started in the 10th century AD. Okay, so that best fits our ability to be able to narrow down the time frame going back to time immemorial, so we can apply this aspect, so we can take action. Most of you can't do that. All right, most of you cannot do that. The original meaning of Old English in lieu of what we call mind was the faculty of memory, not of thought in general. All right, memory. So what is memory? Memory is the faculty of the mind by which data or information is encoded. Y'all better listen to what I'm telling you. Memory is the faculty of the mind, which is not attached to your brain. So taking a neural image of your brain will not solve this problem. Once again, taking the image of your brain will not solve this problem. Making a mental image of your mind will solve this problem. But how do you do that? is yet to be understood. Memory is the faculty of a mind by which data or information is encoded, stored, and retrieved when needed. It is the retention of information over time for the purpose of influencing future actions. Did you hear that? If past events come not to be remembered, it will be impossible for language, relationship, or personal identity to develop. Memory loss is usually described as forgetfulness or amnesia. Y'all better listen to me. Memory is the faculty of the mind by which data or information is encoded, stored, and retrieved when needed. And on the cellular level, cellular immortality, y'all better understand me, it is the retention of information over time for the purpose of influencing future action, i.e. space-time, i.e. fourth dimension, i.e. transitioning from matter to antimatter. We know antimatter is 0-point energy or zero energy matter equivalent, i.e. E equals mc squared, because the solution for general theory of relativity is special theory of relativity. All right, two sides of the coin. All right, so memory is the faculty of the mind by which data, important information, is encoded, stored. That's called mental transport, mental uploading, or digital uploading. All right, whatever you want to call it. It is the retention of information over time for the purpose of influencing future action. So if you want to influence future action, i.e. the future, i.e. fourth dimension, i.e. the tesseract, then you better be listening to what I'm telling you. Or you're going to be in the same state as those superheroes was in, if that's what you look up for an influence on the hereafter. Okay? Biological immortality, for biological digital preservation. Biological immortality is a state in which the rate of mortality from censusing is stable or decreasing, thus decoupling it from chronological age. Various unicellular or multicellular species, including some vertebrates, achieve this state either throughout their existence or after living long enough. A biologically immortal living being can still die from means other than censusing, such as through injury, poison, disease, predation, lack of available resources, or a change of environment. So you can't escape this transition. Whether you're going to make the transition by way of injury, poison, disease, lack of resources, etc., which is a result that's going to be as a result at the hands of somebody else's mind, but you can also make the transition by way of mental transferring the information by understanding from a biological immortality perspective. All right, very, very important to understand it from a biological perspective in lieu of seeking immortality. So you must understand cells, cell life, cell line. Biologists choose the word immortal to designate cells that are not subject to the Hayflick limit, the point at which cells can no longer divide due to DNA damage or shortened telomeres. Telomeres deals with somatic cells, okay? Telomeres deals with somatic cells. So we know that biological immortality denotes the immortality, and immortality deals with, takes what we call intelligence. All right, because and that's what they perceive extraterrestrial as intelligent beings from other star systems, galaxies, whatever you want to call them. That's what's perceived to be what we call an extraterrestrial. You don't believe me? Let's look at it.